This is your WWE TLC 2017 review here on the official YouTube channel for the Solomonster. Sounds off, I am the Solomonster. TLC is in the books, a show that I think was a lot like Hell in a Cell a few weeks ago, in that Hell in a Cell was a two-match show, right? It was all about the two cell matches, the Usos and the New Day, Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens. This also was a two-match show. It was all about the TLC main event, Kurt Angle's big return, and Finn Balor taking on AJ Styles for the very first time. And those two matches delivered, although they delivered in two very different ways, which I'll get into here. But I thought that when they were over, they were fun. People seemed to enjoy it. I think people overall were very satisfied with the finishes of both of those matches. And those are the two matches that really carried the whole show going in. You throw in Asuka's debut, although that match went longer than I thought it would, but I thought she looked good in her debut. People were into her. And so for that reason, I would give the show a slight thumbs up. I say only slight because the rest of the show is just kind of there. There was really nothing exciting about the rest of the show. Kind of brought it down a few notches. I think this is a show that probably would have benefited from having like a really solid tag team title match maybe, or something like that, or some big surprise. We didn't really have any of that. But the two main events delivered, and so for that reason, I give this show a thumbs up. I'm just checking the poll right now. There is a poll up on Twitter, at Solomonster. If you want to cast your vote for what you thought of this pay-per-view, thumbs up, thumbs down, you can do so, at Solomonster. I'll check it again at the end, but right now the poll is just shy of 900 votes already. 69% thumbs up, 31% thumbs down. So overall, a pretty positive response so far to the pay-per-view. So let's start right back where it all started at the Kickoff show. We learned that the Survivor Series is officially being branded this year Raw versus SmackDown. It's not just Brock Lesnar against Jinder Mahal. It's the entire pay-per-view. It's basically bragging rights, only it's 4 hours long. Special start time, 7 p.m. So they're supersizing the Survivor Series this year. I assume with a 2-hour pre-show, that means it's probably going to be 6 hours, because that's just how things have to be now, I guess. On the pre-show, they bumped Drew Gulak's PowerPoint presentation because of a lack of time, which I'm sure just devastated you all. Although, it's surprising. I made a comment about that on Twitter, and everybody tweeted me, "Oh, Solomonster, you got to check out his PowerPoint slides on 205 Live. Actually really entertaining." I'm sure it is. I don't tune into these things for PowerPoint presentations. He came out anyway with a megaphone. He was cutting a promo. He's campaigning, he said, on a platform of no chanting, no flying, no flipping, no moves off the top rope. Just put Bill Watts in charge of 205 Live, and that'll solve your problem. We had a segment backstage, and this would tie into what we would see later on in the show, where we had a little father-son exchange with Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan, and in walks Elias. And Elias wants to know if it's okay for him to have a concert tonight on the pay-per-view. And Kurt says, sure, why not? Go ahead, have a concert. And Jordan mocks him for even asking such a stupid thing. He's like, what do you want a concert for on a pay-per-view? And Elias shoots back, well, at least I'm on the pay-per-view. That would change later on in the show. We had Sasha Banks against Alicia Fox. Okay match. Alicia dumped Sasha out of the ring at one point through the ropes. Just kind of dumped her like a sack of garbage. That could have ended real badly, but thankfully she landed okay. Alicia's kind of dangerous in there. I'm not necessarily saying that she's like a danger to other people. She's reckless and stuff. I don't know. I watch her, and there's something about her where I kind of cringe a little bit when she throws these women around and she hits some of these moves. The axe kick, I feel like one day she's just going to break somebody in half. And in any event, that didn't happen, thankfully, here. Sasha got the bank statement on. She got the win by tap out. Shockingly, Sasha did not bleed from the mouth, which has become something of a tradition in her matches. I said on the sound-off earlier today, she must have gingivitis or something, because she bleeds from the mouth in almost every single match. But she must have heard me, because she didn't do that on this show. Pay-per-view opened with Asuka's debut against Emma. I said earlier, this was longer than I thought it would be. This was way more competitive of a match than I thought it would be. Emma got most of the offense. I'd say 60-40. Maybe even 70-30 here in this match. what that did was it served to get the crowd to rally behind Asuka, which they did. Maybe that's why they did it. It may well have been a test. Let's beat Asuka down and see if the fans actually cheer for her and get behind her. And if it was a test, then she passed with flying colors. Because these people were really into her, which is a great sign. Asuka won with the Asuka lock. The one thing that was really obvious watching this was how much I'm going to miss the NXT announcers during her matches. Commentary, not the best night on commentary, especially for Booker T. I would have done a better job of protecting Emma and kind of building her up had I known that Asuka was going to be fighting for her life here in this match against this woman. It was a little bit weird to see, Emma, who has just been portrayed as a nothing on this show for so long, giving Asuka that much of a run for her money. But aside from that, I thought this was good. I'll be surprised if we don't get a rematch tomorrow night on Raw, because that's just what they do. We had the first of what would turn out to be several attempts at a concert with Elias. He was interrupted by Jason Jordan throwing vegetables at him. He had a grocery cart out there with him. He looked like he just came from Whole Foods, and after he got done throwing shit at Elias, he just took his cart and he very calmly wheeled it backstage. And that was that. We had Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher against Rich Swann and Cedric Alexander. This was good. Good stuff. Kendrick had the captain's hook sunk in on Cedric when Rich Swann broke it up with a Phoenix Splash off the top rope. A Black Mass kick from Rich Swann. That's what I'm calling it, because that's basically what it was. And Cedric hit the lumbar check on Kendrick for the pin. Cedric and Swann, they make a good tag team. And, I'm watching them pose on the turnbuckles when the match is over. And I'm thinking, man, this was kind of a fun match. And they work well together. And then I remember that, in WWE world, you're not allowed, if you're in the Cruiserweight division, to compete outside of that division. Because I was thinking, it could be fun to see them against Sheamus and Cesaro. It could be fun even to do like a one-off match on TV against Rollins and Ambrose, even if it's non-title. Just give us some fresh matches from time to time. But apparently the rules don't allow that. And that's one of the things I hate about people like Cedric being stuck in that division. Apparently Neville feels the same way. We had Alexa Bliss and Mickie James for the Raw Women's title. I thought the match was decent enough. Nothing special, kind of slow. Story was about Mickey's shoulder, which she injured. Alexa came off the top with Twisted Bliss, but Mickie moved out of the way. At one point, the two of them got into a New Japan-style slap fest that ended with both women kicking each other in the head at the same time and collapsing. Fans started a "We Want Tables" chant near the finish, although I'm not sure why, other than they were pretty much just trying to be dicks. Bliss was cowering in the corner, suckered Mickie in, pulled her shoulder first into the turnbuckle, and then hit the DDT for the win to retain the championship. After the match, Charlie Caruso interviewed Mickie James. This was, I think, one of two, right? One of two different post-match interviews that Charlie got in the ring and did during the show. So I don't know if that's something permanent that they're going to be doing going forward. They're very, bipolar when it comes to stuff like that. So we got a whole bunch of post-match interviews on this show, and then they won't do it again for 3 months. There's no rhyme or reason to why they do this. And, she wasn't interrupted. Nothing happened. She just cut a valiant babyface promo that I gave it my best effort, and this is not the last you're going to see of me, and one day I'll be the champion again, and everybody cheered, and that was it. She said that she gave everything she had to prove that she was worthy of a title shot, except the fact that she lost. I'm just saying, she left that little fact out, that she lost. We had a backstage skit with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose handing Kurt Angle a tactical vest. They actually gave him the Roman Reigns vest for the main event. That wouldn't be the only thing they would give him. I was very excited when they came out. We had another Elias segment. He gave this concert thing another shot. I will say this much, and the guy is winning me over, week by week. I'm becoming more of a fan of what they have him doing, but this second time that he came out to attempt a concert, he got crazy heat. I mean, the people were shouting him down. He couldn't even hear himself speak. They were so loud. Jason Jordan came back out again, tossing his salad. There's a horrendous visual for you. I apologize. We had Kalisto against Enzo Amore for the Cruiserweight title. Enzo came out, does his pre-match shtick, barely has any voice. God knows what this guy was doing the night before or when he went to bed. Maybe he didn't even go to bed. Knowing this guy, he probably was just pulling an all-nighter, doing whatever the hell it is that he does, but barely had any voice. The match itself was exactly what you would expect it to be, below expectations for a Cruiserweight match. Enzo hit the DDT, jumping off the top rope on the way down, which is, that's an impressive enough move. I'll give him credit for that. Hit that for a near fall. Kalisto tried for a Salida del Sol, but Enzo escaped. Kalisto's dragging him back into the middle of the ring. Enzo is clawing at the ring skirt, trying to get away. And as Kalisto drags him in, the referee goes to fix the ring skirt. When he does this, Enzo reaches up and he thumbs Kalisto right in the eye. And then he hits Eat Defeat to regain the Cruiserweight Championship to the surprise of no one. This was obvious from the night Kalisto won the title that Enzo was going to get it right back, and that's exactly what happened. You may as well. I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point. And then we had Demon Finn Balor against the phenomenal AJ Styles. I love how in these Survivor Series plugs all night long, Survivor Series, it's the one night of year that you can see Raw versus SmackDown, and here we are with a Raw versus SmackDown match. Call it bad timing, I guess. Now, on the Kickoff show, this was hilarious. I'm listening to the Kickoff show, and Renee Young refers to AJ and Balor as, and I quote, two former leaders of the Notorious Club. That's what they were calling it. Now, at least later on, like during the pay-per-view, I think Michael Cole said that at one point these two guys in Japan were leaders of the same faction. Like, he phrased it differently, and that's fine. But I just laughed, like, the Notorious Club. And for whatever reason, I just started cackling to myself. It's just a weird way of putting it. And I also have to give them credit. I was talking about this on the podcast earlier. I said, there's a lot of people who are very upset about how, what little respect WWE has paid to the idea of there being a real brand split between Raw and SmackDown. And that was even before AJ got added to the pay-per-view because everybody got sick. I mean, that only made it worse if that's something that really, bothers you. And I said, the least they could do here on the pay-per-view is just be honest, right? They posted updates all over WWE.com the last couple of days. Just be honest, say that the guy's sick and that, Kurt Angle reached out to Daniel Bryan in a phone call between two GMs and said, look, I'm in a bind. Can you do me a solid? Can I borrow somebody from SmackDown? And they came to an understanding. Like, it's a very easy thing to explain. And I wasn't sure they were going to do that, but to their credit, they did. They had Michael Cole explaining that Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan spoke, and Daniel Bryan agreed to allow AJ Styles to compete on the pay-per-view. And so I wanted to mention that here because I didn't think they would do it, and they did, and I'm happy they did. As far as the match itself, big match feel. This had a big match feel right from the start. This is awesome chants even before the match started. It reminded me of the first time The Shield wrestled the Wyatt family. We had, this is awesome chants back then before they even touched. Same situation here. Tit for tat early on, pretty evenly matched, 50-50. There was a spot midway through where Styles picked up Balor. They were on the outside and just started charging towards the announce table, and they both tumbled over the announce desk onto the floor, made it back into the ring just in the nick of time before the 10 count, although with the fans these days, every count now is a 10 count. Things got pretty hot down the stretch. They traded punches and kicks. AJ looked like he was setting up for a Pele kick. Balor hit one first. Balor hit the 1916 for a near fall. Have not seen him use that move in a while. I liked it better when he called it Bloody Sunday, but name don't fly in PG WWE, so it became 1916. The whole story is it's named after the Irish Rising on Easter Sunday in 1916, for those of you who don't follow NXT. So AJ caught him with a Pele kick of his own and hit a... Now, this was one of the scary, if not the scariest spot of the match. So Balor is up top. He's about to go for what I assume is the coup de grace. And that's when AJ, gets up and hits the Pele kick, and now Balor is just sitting up there. AJ's out on the apron. He's going to do a springboard onto the top rope. It's very obvious. He's going to hit a springboard on top and then hit a Hurricane Rana. And he did. That's exactly what happened. But I don't know if AJ lost his footing a little bit. I don't know if Balor jumped too early. It looked very weird and very, more dangerous than it should have, but he hit the move. But you could see, like, the fans in the first 5 rows were like, oh my, like, they were worried that something went wrong there. So anyway, he hit the move and got a near fall out of it. Balor ended up giving him the shotgun drop kick in the corner, climbed up to the top, hit the coup de grace after all, which looked pretty brutal, actually. He landed right in his gut, and he scored the clean pinfall. 1, 2, 3, as he should have. I thought there were a few rough spots in this match. This was not a perfect match, but the announcers made a great point, and I'm not using this as an excuse. I guess I am using it as an excuse because I think it may be a legitimate excuse that, AJ was down in South America with SmackDown on tour when he got called to come back up for the pay-per-view. And before I started recording here, I was listening to AJ on Raw Talk when the pay-per-view ended, and he was saying it's an 18-hour flight to get from where he was back. I guess they were in Minneapolis tonight. He claimed it was an 18-hour flight. On short notice, short rest. That's got to play with your head. I mean, that's got to just wreak havoc on your sleep schedule, your preparation, all of that stuff. So in my head, I'm wondering what a fully rested AJ Styles can do in a match where, he and Balor, with enough build, where they can plan stuff out. The kind of match these two guys can have, I'm sure, is even better than what we got tonight. I mean, this was a great match too, but, have a few hiccups here and there. And to think these guys, I think, can do even better than what they did tonight. But I don't doubt that 18-hour, flight probably played hell with Styles, and he still went out there and had the best match of the night. Which, given who's involved here, probably shouldn't be a surprise to anybody listening to this. But aside from a couple of mistimed spots, I thought this was really good and easily the best match on the entire show. I thought the outcome was exactly what it needed to be, and I said as much on the podcast earlier today. I said of the two, Balor needs this win more than AJ does. AJ is a made man in this company. Balor is not there yet. Balor has been stuck in the muck with this Bray Wyatt, Sister Abigail bullshit now for so long. The best thing, honestly, that could have happened, and look, I hope everybody who's sick is okay, but the best thing that could have happened for Balor is for Bray to not be able to wrestle and for AJ to step in and for him to go out there and have the match he had tonight. And he got the clean win. It was a big win. We'll see if it plays into anything going into Survivor Series now that we know it's going to be Raw versus SmackDown. Who knows? Maybe the two of them will be matched up in an elimination match. We'll find out. But I thought the outcome was exactly what it needed to be. Post-match, they came face-to-face. They threw up the Too Sweet. People loved it. It was a cool moment. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how long before those two get cease and desist letters. Probably once they hit the gorilla position, I would assume. We had Elias coming out one more time for an attempt at a concert. Actually, I don't even remember. Did he try to have the concert again? Because they were having a match. I don't even remember. He came out a whole bunch of times for a friggin' concert. Anyway, they finally had a match. The match was okay. It was in the death spot. It was just something to kill time before the main event. It didn't completely die on the vine, so I guess that would make it a success. People didn't shit all over it. And Jason Jordan got a very controversial win. So Elias went to suplex him into the ring, and Jordan turned it into an inside cradle. And it was one of these things where whose shoulders are down, it's kind of hard to tell. And then it looked like Elias kicked out right before the 3, or right at the 3, and then the ref called for the bell and gave the win to Jason Jordan. It was a very convoluted finish. I guess, I don't know if this is going to be a prolonged feud or it's just going to lead to a rematch tomorrow night. I'm sure we're going to have a rematch tomorrow night. I'd be stunned if we didn't. But they claim Jordan got the win. Now, on the replay, they were showing Michael Cole, Corey Graves. They all seemed to be in agreement that Elias' shoulder was up. He got screwed. So the story here is Jordan wins, but Elias is the one who got screwed. And so I guess this feud will continue on. And that led to the main event. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Kurt Angle. His first WWE match in 11 years against The Miz, Braun Strowman, Kane, Sheamus, and Cesaro in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. This is a weird one for me to review. The match went, I think, close to, if not 45 minutes. From start to finish, I think with entrances and everything, it was in the 40 to 45 minute range. So they gave them a lot of time. People seemed to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. For the most part, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of dead time in the middle, but I enjoyed it. I would not call this a great match. It was like a car wreck that you couldn't look away from. It wasn't bad. But believe me, I'm not calling it a bad match, but I can't sit here and say, oh, what a great TLC match this was. I can't call it that, but yet when it was over, I was satisfied. I enjoyed it. And I guess at the end of the day, that's really the only thing that matters. One thing I really enjoyed was, and I was kind of joking about this, a couple days ago when the news broke that Kurt was going to be in the match, but they actually did it. They had Kurt Angle come out in the crowd and do the full Shield entrance with the vest and everything with Rollins and Ambrose. That was cool. Kurt had the biggest smile in the world on his face, like he was having the time of his life. They came through the crowd, they came to the ring, they were armed with chairs. The first 5 minutes of the match was nothing but them just hitting the heels with chairs over and over again. They had Braun Strowman laid out on one of the announce tables outside the ring. They got Kane laid out on one of the other announce tables right next to Braun. They had 2 giant ladders set up, so you knew exactly what was going to happen here. Rollins climbed one, Ambrose climbed the other. Stereo dives off the ladders, down through Kane and Strowman through the table. So that took the 2 big men out of the match for a while. Kurt Angle had his moment to shine. He went crazy, hit German suplexes on The Miz, hit German suplexes on Sheamus and Cesaro. Place is going nuts. Strowman, once he was revived and got back into things, he gave Angle a running power slam through a table outside the ring, which is a scary thing when you see Kurt Angle taking a move like that from a guy that big. But on the replay, you could tell Strowman totally protected him, so that was fine. But it was at that point in the match they were playing up, Angle is hurt, he can't continue. They had paramedics come out, they were escorting him to the back. So that was the point in the match where Kurt was taken out. Although you had a sense he was probably going to come back. I will say this, though. At first I thought, well, maybe Kurt isn't coming back. Kurt hit the suplexes and all that stuff. Maybe he's already done his part. And I thought for sure they were going to have Brock Lesnar come out. They were going to hit his music at some point when the baby faces were being ganged up on. And God knows he's had his issues with Strowman at least. I thought they were going to hit Lesnar's music here in Minneapolis of all places. And the place, the roof would have come off that place and he would come out and just start suplexing the shit out of people. That would have been awesome. But they didn't do that. So again, Angle is taken out of the match, and they, at that point, spent forever. And this was the dead part of the match for me. This is where things slowed to a crawl, and I was kind of getting bored and kind of getting restless, and I'm thinking, all right, is Brock or Angle coming? Like, what's going on here? They spent forever beating down Rollins and Ambrose until Kane accidentally hit Strowman with a chair. Strowman didn't like that very much. He gave Kane a shove, shoved him on his ass. Miz is trying to keep the peace, right? Calm things down a little bit. Rollins and Ambrose, they're going down in a blaze of glory here. They're trying to fight back as best they can, but they're outnumbered. It's 5-on-2. They tried to put Ambrose through a table, but it didn't break. I am the table indeed. So they set it up in the corner instead. They threw him through the table there. Miz then, he summons in a garbage truck. He had made some kind of comment about taking out the trash earlier in the show. So he's in the aisle. He's summoning a garbage truck in. I wonder if Eric Bischoff is still laying in the back of it. So they try to stuff Rollins and Ambrose into the back of the truck, but they fight back. They climb on top of the garbage truck and dive off. They take everybody except The Miz out. Kane then attacks Braun Strowman, and this was not an accident. The first time was an accident. This was no accident. He attacks Braun. Why? I have no idea. I guess for the shove earlier. Kane doesn't forget. He keeps a grudge. He chokeslams Braun Strowman through the stage. And Kane then goes over. He looks up. And right above Strowman, now you've seen these TLC pay-per-views before. They usually have tables all over the place. They have chairs hanging from the ceiling. Well, it just so happens that right above where Braun was laid out is this vine of chairs. And Kane reaches up and he yanks on them, and 4 or 5 chairs fall from the ceiling, and they basically cover Braun Strowman. He is covered in this sea of steel chairs and seemingly taken out of the match. We have no idea why Kane did what he did, but one thing is readily apparent at this point, which is that we're going to get Braun Strowman feuding with Kane, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm all for 2 big guys beating the hell out of each other, but I don't know about that. Kane and Braun Strowman, after, Strowman had that great feud with Well, I mean, look, he had great matches with Roman Reigns. I guess not everybody, is a fan of that, but I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed Strowman and Lesnar until they had their actual match. That wasn't so much fun. But to go from that to Kane is quite the come down, if that's the direction they're going in here. So Kane then hits a double chokeslam on Ambrose and Rollins, each of them through a table. Unfortunately for Ambrose, again, the table didn't break. These tables are no friends of Dean Ambrose. He got his arm cut up real good. He was bleeding from the arm. They went to dump them in the back of the garbage truck again when all of a sudden Braun Strowman rose from the dead. He beat up The Miz. He beat up Sheamus and Cesaro. He went after Kane. Suddenly all the heels are ganging up on Strowman, which sure felt like a babyface turn for him. They put him in the back of the garbage truck. They closed it with him inside. So WWE doing their best Lucha Underground impression here and murdering Braun Strowman, or so we're led to believe. They drag Rollins and Ambrose back to the ring. They're going to finish them off when all of a sudden Kurt Angle's music hit. Place explodes. I thought he was going to be wearing his old ring gear, but he was still wearing the tactical vest. He comes out. Cesaro comes charging down the aisle at him. And Kurt gives him a back body drop onto the ramp. He gives Sheamus an angle slam onto the floor. He gives Cesaro an angle slam through a table that was set up along the side of the aisleway. And I have to say, that was the most badass that Kurt looked in the entire match. That spot was great. He gives Cesaro this great-looking angle slam through a table and pops up right away and has this intense look on his face. He's staring a hole in Kane in the middle of the ring. So Angle gets in the ring and Kane clotheslines him. He gets Kurt up for a tombstone, which is the last thing we need to be seeing, is Kurt hanging upside down with his head about to be driven down into the mat. Thankfully, the Shield saved him from certain death. Rollins and Ambrose took out Kane with a running spear through the barricade outside. Miz sneaks up behind Kurt Angle in the ring, goes to give him a skull-crushing finale, and he hits it. Goes for the pin, and he gets the nearest of near falls. And this was the classic Kurt Angle near fall. As I've called it before in the Sound Off, if you listen to the podcast, you guys know I've talked about this in years past. Go back and watch most of those classic Kurt Angle matches, and the most egregious offense I could think of is one of my favorite matches, which is Kurt Angle against Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 21. It was the spot where Angle is talking trash. He's down to Shawn. Stay down, stay down. And Shawn out of nowhere hits a super kick and goes for the pin. Watch that near fall. Kurt had a knack for waiting as long as he could possibly wait before he got his shoulder up, to the point where the referee clearly would count 3. And at 3.2, Kurt would always get his shoulder up. He always waited too late. And he almost did here. I don't know that the ref hit 3 here, but boy, was this close. And that was the classic Kurt Angle near fall, as I call it. So Miz set up another skull-crushing finale on Angle, but he reversed it into an ankle lock, and Miz kind of twisted his way out of it. He kicked Angle out of the ring. Angle took a weird, scary-looking bump out of the ring. He got almost tangled up in the ropes. He was hanging down head first and took a header down onto the floor. That was one of the scariest moments of the entire match. Thankfully, he was okay. Rollins and Ambrose spotted the Miz. He was all by his lonesome. Miz has nobody there to protect him, nobody there to save him. And Kurt Angle got back up on the apron. So, of course, Rollins hits the high knee, the Kingslayer, I believe he calls it, and Ambrose hits Dirty Deeds, and Miz pops up, and so Kurt gives him the angle slam. They all then gang up and give him the classic Shield triple power bomb, with Kurt Angle doing the Roman Reigns roar spot. Give him the power bomb, and Angle folds him up like an accordion, and Kurt Angle pins The Miz to win this tables, ladders, and chairs match. As a match, this may be an unpopular opinion here, but as a match, this would have been a better match with Roman Reigns in it. And again, people aren't going to like hearing that, but that's the truth. That being said, it was cool to see Kurt Angle's greatest hits. We got to see him hit all the suplexes. We got to see him do the ankle lock. We got to see him hit the angle slam a couple of times. The only thing we didn't get to see was him pulling down the straps. Aside from that, we got to see Kurt Angle's greatest hits, and it was a lot of fun. And aside from that one awkward spill out of the ring late in the match, he was slower, obviously, than he was 11 years ago, but obviously he would be. All the injuries, the guy's 40-something years old. Otherwise, I thought he did fine. And most importantly, he didn't take any unnecessary risks. I was I know I'm not the only one who was very worried about the idea that Kurt's first match back was a friggin' TLC match. I thought for sure this guy was going to try something stupid, and he did. He didn't do any crazy dives. He didn't take any ridiculous bumps. He didn't jump off ladders. He did take a table bump from Strowman, but again, it was very safe. They protected him. He got the big reaction coming back out as the hero late in the match to make the save. They let him score the winning fall, and we got the feel-good celebration at the end. Now, by no means was this the best TLC match I've ever seen, not even top 5, but it was fun, I thought, for what it was supposed to be. They made the best of a bad situation with the Roman Reigns thing. They couldn't do the full Shield reunion. They wanted to give the fans a make good. They delivered on that. They gave the fans what they wanted to see. I cannot fault them for that, and it was a fun match. Again, beyond that, it's hard for me to grade because it wasn't the traditional TLC match. For a lot of different reasons. With Kurt Angle coming back, and we don't know what this guy's going to be able to do. He's older. He hasn't wrestled in so long. It's sort of a novelty. Plus, it was 5-on-3 instead of just being, 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. It was this weird handicap situation. So the whole thing was just very weird, but it was fun. And I thought the 2 main events delivered, which makes this, for me, a thumbs-up show. Let me check the poll really quick here. Again, if you want to vote in the TLC poll, it is up on my Twitter at Solomonster. We're now over 1,200 votes. 71. We've actually gone up with the thumbs up. 71% thumbs up, 29% thumbs down. So clearly a thumbs up show from most of you guys. Polls are still open, so feel free to vote. And that's your TLC review. We'll find out now. We're on the road to Survivor Series, what they're going to do in terms of Raw versus SmackDown, and how they sort of match up, who they match up who with from each roster. If we get to see some form of Balor and AJ again, or if they stay away from that. Obviously, we're going to get Lesnar and Jinder, God help us all. So we'll find out this week at TV what they have in mind for Survivor Series. Quick note, for those of you who didn't hear on the podcast earlier today, I am doing a live YouTube stream on Sunday night, November 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on this very YouTube channel. The 10-year anniversary episode of The Sound Off, number 520. We'll be doing the regular show, talking the week's news, also taking your phone calls. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys can join. Again, that'll be live here on YouTube Sunday night, November 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you are not already subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you would be so kind to hit that thumbs up button here on this video if you enjoyed this review. You can download the audio from the link in the description down below. Leave comments. Listen to the full podcast every Sunday on thesolomonster.com. I'll be back with a brand new podcast next weekend and more content coming here to the YouTube channel. Not just these pay-per-view reviews, but also more Sound Off Gamer episodes. There'll be a DVD review coming to the channel very soon. A lot of new content coming, so keep it locked here. And until then, be well, stay safe, and I'll see you back here again very soon. Take care, guys.